have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. We're going to also slash something else, the waste in our bloated federal bureaucracy. America first, but provide sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals, many from prisons and mental institutions that have illegally entered our country from all over the world. First, I will declare a national emergency.
Governor Cox also cites a memo that Bernanke's office issued a memo calling Utah a sanctuary state.
Do you plan to prosecute public officials who don't help you?
What I would say is, sanctuary cities don't want to help us, that's fine. I think it's wrong, but that's fine, because I would think any elected official would want to remove public safety threats from the communities. But there's a line they can't cross.
Will there be collateral arrests?
Yes.
Should we expect workplace raids?
Yes. You can count on worksite enforcement coming back.
Do you plan to separate families?
Families, I've said it before, families can be, if a family needs to be deported, if members of the family need to be deported, then that parent needs to make a decision.
You have mentioned that there could be a hotline for people to call in to report undocumented immigrants in their communities.
It's one thing we're considering, yeah.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. Article of Faith, number 12. We believe in being subject to kings, presidents, rulers, magistrates, and obeying, honoring, and sustaining the law. So do religions get an exemption from obeying, honoring, and sustaining the law? The answer is no, if you believe that Joseph Smith is your founder. This is not complicated. The First Amendment was in existence during Joseph Smith's time. Joseph Smith has in his Doctrine and Covenants talking about sustaining the Constitution of the land. And so thus the First Amendment cannot be interpreted to mean disobeying kings, presidents, rulers, magistrates, and disobeying, dishonoring, and not sustaining the law. This is not complicated. And yet, we have learned from past experience that is currently flooding our nation and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that when you are in a position of authority or trust and you lie repeatedly, you are able to have some success in convincing other people that your lies are truth. And when this happens, people then are radicalized to commit crimes on behalf of the church and to commit crimes to defend the church. And so when Joseph Smith talks about his missionaries being evil disposed and designing militant persons, we see that the enemy was already creeping into Joseph's church from the beginning. I made a list, and they're out of order. Probably have to bring out the YouTube reference book and put this in. But we start with the Book of Mormon. That is Jewish, not literal history of Christianity, and therefore it is prophecy and revelation. It is a warning to us right now. Then you have Joseph Smith's 1835 Doctrine and Covenants warning us specifically in our day, not his day, our day. He speaks of prophecy and revelation of us right now. He does it directly, he does it in parable form, so that we would study and learn. Then in 1838, Joseph Smith writes his second vision and warns us again here in the future, right now. They that come shall burn us. And then you have Thomas B. Marsh, a few months after, who then warns Missouri, the governor, about the threat of this group of Mormons who are calling themselves true Mormon Danites, about their threat during their time and their plot in the future right now. And then Joseph Smith, 19 July 1840, comments on his Doctrine and Covenants from the 1835, section 101, and goes into more graphic detail of Brigham Young as the enemy of these true Mormon Danites and their plot to coup America right now. Then Heber C. Kimball, that's also in the wrong place. Heber C. Kimball and John Taylor have recorded their threats of right now. Oh yeah, we should also put in George Albert Smith and his threat. Thanks to Idaho chick. George Albert Smith threat, which did not happen, but this does go with the one I put generally, since I've got him specifically now. And I can also put Bruce Arnold Conkey too, for that matter. Let's see. So 1887, the United States dissolves this threat. Dissolves the church and dissolves their perpetual immigration fund. Just like Trump just did. Signing the executive orders. And yet the church is still doing it in violation of the law as the threat, the enemy. Then Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. had his threats, but because he's of Hiram, he was lied to, rather than with Thomas B. Marsh, who they said, yeah, we're going to do it. To Joseph Fielding Smith Sr., they said, Jesus is going to do it. So they learned not to take responsibility for their plots. Now they're blaming Jesus. Jesus is going to do it. And so then Heber J. Grant incorporated the corporation, not the church. The corporation, church is still gone, does not exist. On the 26th of November, 1923, to turn the corporation into this criminal operation that they've still not ceased. It's now a more expansive role. And so now, because they can't have lots of women to have lots of babies with, they're using money to hoard for the purpose of paying the Judas price to make it happen in the future. Right now, paying terrorists, since that's the theme of the video. And so then all during the 1900s, you get George Albert Smith making his threat of a nuke, Bruce R. McConkie and nukes. See, now they're starting to say that the burning is going to be nuclear. This is the change that took place. Back in Joseph Smith's day, it was burning things to the ground with fire, you know, like in California, by those arsonists. And so then we get to Nelson. Hinckley also. He's one that I have the video clip for. Threatening us to pay tithing or we're going to burn and be destroyed. But if we're righteous, we'll be safe, even if it's spiritual. The big con. And so then Nelson takes over and threatens us, saying it's about to happen in the coming days and day. 2 times days, 2 times day. And so what happened? What is going on in America that demonstrates the coming of Jesus? Did he lie to us? There's no Jesus yet. Where's Jesus? Mormons are still waiting. I did the video, and then soon thereafter, I got a comment on another video where I didn't talk about it, of a Mormon saying, Jesus is coming, and you're going to be sorry, Travis. He's going to get you. See how Mormons have been indoctrinated? Just like George Fielding Smith Sr., who was told that it's not the church anymore, that it's Jesus who's going to do it. passing the buck to Jesus as criminal Jesus, gangsta Jesus, the Jesus. He's getting revenge. And so Oakes backs him up. Says, Nelson said, in a coming day, day after day, it's getting closer. And he got leaked in 2020. Thanks to Sister Jessica leaking her mission president's letter to parents and stake presidents on about the 14th of March 2020 meeting, in which Oakes told them, yeah, we're responsible, but we're calling it Jesus. 2020 is just a test run for the coming of Jesus. We're not doing it. Nope, it's Jesus. Why are you letting Jesus hit yourself? Why are you letting Jesus hit yourself? Why are you letting Jesus hit yourself? Bullies, terrorists. So yes, he confessed to overthrowing the election, that creeping death, and profiting off of it with insider trading on the stock market. All sorts of crimes and corruption and terrorism and insurrection by this church, who claims to be in charge of it all. They're the 1% of the 1%. Wow. And then, after a minimal threat on New Year's, even though it was pretty bad, nonetheless, he had been planning to make it bigger, and he failed to make it bigger. But the church is funding Islamic terrorism. They're funding the Islamic State. They're funding Hamas. They're funding the Hezbollah. They're funding the Houthi. They're funding other Islamists who have begun attacking Israel since October 7th, 2023. Still holding hostages, refusing to quit, as Islamists are joining in this terrorist fight against Israel and threatening people all over the world to join them. And so, yeah, George Albert Smith, I forgot to mention, also is bringing up nukes. That's part of the nuke change. And so the day after New Year's, Oakes then came out and said, all right, fine, Easter now. Prepare for Jesus on Easter. Remember that Jesus has the power to resurrect you. That's a cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs prophet threat. Here's some Kool-Aid, which used to be the traditional thing for ward activities in this church back when we had ward activities. And then Jonestown happened. And only those who were unaware of it still use Kool-Aid. But by then, I think there was the no-name brands that were starting to come out, and so my mom was buying those because Kool-Aid was still too expensive. But when Kool-Aid first came out, yeah, she was buying it for us. all of the new stuff that was coming out she would buy, and then once the cheaper stuff came out, as we were getting older and eating more, she would then buy those. Alrighty. And so yes, this is what we're facing. Second coming of Jesus, as they tell us, is their plot to mass murder and coup governments. And that's exactly what's going on under Trump. Oak said, we put Trump in, we took Trump out, we put him back in. That's what Oak said to the mission presidents. That is not obeying the founder with we believe in being subject to kings, presidents, rulers, and magistrates, and obeying, honoring, and sustaining the law. Especially now that Trump has deemed that the Houthi are now terrorists. Signed the executive order, as I went in with the video that was published this morning. This is why I've been doing all I've been doing this whole time. To warn you, specifically to Mormons and those who have left, because you're Mormon too. Church won't let you go. They still have your membership record. You think they don't have it? No, they've got it. And so that when you come back crawling on your hands and knees begging to be baptized again, the bishop, wherever you are in the world, will be able to access your original records and see that you were excommunicated. So the bishop's going to have an extra long talk to make sure you are really serious about coming back, and how much punishment you're going to have to endure in order to come back. He'll be whipping out his belt for a good whipping. If you've seen that clip that Hinckley claimed was by Thomas B. Marsh coming back to Brigham Young, prepare your backs for a good whipping. Brigham Young whipped Thomas B. Marsh, oh my God. And then forced him to speak at conference. Oh my God. There was a trend by little kids in which they purposely committed a sin and then go and repent to the bishop saying, oops, my bad. As if that was the cool thing to do. The Mormon Apostasy Challenge. And just, dear God, Mormons, what the hell? And so, yeah, I watched the Castle episode yesterday of the rebel phase of teen girls. Great. Why didn't I get to be the victim of a rebel girl when I was a teenager? Why is everybody else having fun but me? And so, yeah, this is how it works in this church. I know exactly how it works. I've been doing this research on the church this whole time, so I can warn you. All of what I listed is from the 8.3K videos I've been doing all these latter days. And so, those who are new, which is most of you, do not hear those video content from me. You don't recognize who I am, you don't know what I talk about, you don't know what's factual, because the church has lied to you, even if you are somebody who left the church or was excommunicated by the church, you still have that baggage of believing their lies to some degree. It's just that you left because of one or several instances where you knew that they were lying to you. But you're not able to make the leap to say, okay, they're lying on these things, therefore you can't trust them for everything. Nobody is making that conclusion leap. It's a logical one. If you catch somebody in a lie, you can't trust them. Not a mistake, a lie. I make mistakes all the time. Revolutionary War when it should have been Civil War? Yeah, common for me. Deliberately lying, like saying the Book of Mormon is another testament of Jesus. That is a huge, racist, bigoted lie. And Mormons believe it. They read the Book of Mormon about the learning of the Jews, and they say Christian Jesus. They repeat that lie until you believe it and accept it. And so when you leave, it's only because of certain lies that you left. But they're lying about everything, guys, because that's their core lie. We're Christian. Joseph Smith was Christian. The Book of Mormon is Christian. And they're not. They're Jewish. Therefore, everything they say is wrong. It is false. It is a lie. And I can't get this through to Mormons. Can't get this through to ex-foes. It's a whole different paradigm using the Jews. And so, on my LDS Mormon Church prophet on deathbed, grooming for next apostle. It's very obvious Gilbert is being groomed. And Wilcox is out. They tried, he failed. And so James DeBoer said this morning, he won't be the next prophet. You need to know how things work. Well, so was it Jesus who said, I want so-and-so? Was it Jesus who wanted Kieran when Ballard died? Kieran, do you know where he's from? Saudi Arabia. Remember the princess who came to visit the first presidency in 2020 and 2022? Remember? Are you aware of the giving machines? That's how it works. She bribed the church, and the church in return offered a quid pro quo. To do them a favor, though. To fund terrorism. That's why Kieran is an apostle now. And so, he doesn't know. He's too young. If his picture is accurate, updated, not AI. Because he still believes, like Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. believed, that it's all run by Jesus. Which is weird, because he should know it's not run by Jesus. And so he's perpetuating the lie of the lie, covering up the truth. And so no, it has nothing to do with any of this. And notice in the one clip that I put in there with Oaks, Nelson is on his deathbed. And so Nelson is having Oaks, or Oaks is just doing it naturally, knowing that Nelson is soon to die and he's going to be king. He needs to find a replacement for Nelson. Kieran was immediate, relatively speaking. They didn't wait for conference to come around, because they know that Brigham Young sabotaged them. Do I still have? I do. Brigham Young changed the administration of his church from the one that Joseph Smith had. And so in the 1920s, the American Mafia family network began. And they designed a structure that was patterned exactly after Brigham Young, where the boss has counselor. We have two. For the most part, there's some that had others. And then there's an underboss. The underboss is the one who succeeds the boss when the boss is out of the picture, swimming with the fishes. Exact same process. This was not Joseph's. And then you have lieutenants under the control of the underboss, the 12 apostles. And then they have soldiers, the 70. And you can even go further into the whole Melchizedek priesthood. We are all enlisted till the conflict is o'er. Happy are we, soldiers in the army we will murder and destroy. And then at the bottom, associates. Those are those who are in positions of government power, in positions of business trust, that are wealthy, and other positions that can assist and cover up for the criminal organization. And so these are your judges, these are your government leaders, these are local businesses that can do them extra favors above and beyond. And such forth. There are cops who look the other way, etc. This is the criminal operation. And it's exactly the same as Brigham Young's that is still practiced to this day. And the bishops are the bagmen. They don't have bagmen here. And typically it's the soldiers who act as bagmen. But yeah, they're under the direction of the Quorum of the 12. And so the bagmen are the ones who collect the extra donations that are required, not just the regular payment. So the American Mafia family will have a front business that is legitimate, like sanitation for the Sopranos. And so when they go around and collect the money for the sanitation fee, they also make sure to collect a little extra for protection racket. tithing, it's just all rolled up into one. Because it's perpetual. So, yeah, it's more than what the American Mafia does. Mormons are taxed higher. And yet Mormons still believe it's true. It's true. You don't know. Even though you've been in the church the whole time and have been in positions of power to influence us if we'd but read or listen. Nope, won't do it. And so, yeah, the Houthi. That's the latest thing. And so, like they're wanting to establish a hotline. They're wanting to set up their website for people to report of illegals and terrorists in their communities. And yet the church somehow is still getting away with all of their crimes. And so today, we're expecting Judge Robert Shelby to be rendering his verdict on whether tithing is criminal or whether it's a donation. Dumbass Mormons who sue. Seriously, guys? The church repeats it. It's a donation. It's a donation. It's a donation. But I read here, nope, it's a donation. It's a donation. But it's prescribed. No, it's a donation. It's a donation. It says it's the law. No, it's a donation. And you believe them. And the news backs them up. God. But anyway, we're saving that video for his verdict release. This was just for terrorism.